expect me to wax poetic about the personal myth because there's so much of it to go around in Persona. And here's the fun part. What year is it? What year is it? 2019, which means spoilers don't matter for Persona 5. If you have not played Persona 5 right now, what's wrong with you? I think it's coming out on the Switch.
I know Joker is.
Oh no! Have you guys? Okay, so I read like gaming press, and I am noticing that what was it? Miyamoto was like posing with Morgana. It was Sakurai. Yeah, I just remember seeing all these photos. I'm like, so does this mean we're gonna get? So let's see. Persona 3 Portable came out on the PSP. Persona 4 Golden comes out on the Vita. Does that mean Persona 5 is gonna come out on the Switch? All I know is I played 110 hours of Persona 5.
Right.
10 of those hours was just to make Yoshitsune.
To be fair.
Oh, no. Persona 5 was perfect for that because one, Yoshitsune is practically indestructible and I cleared out Kamoshida's castle in 22 minutes. But the other thing about Yoshitsune is that is my favorite character from Japanese history.
It is.
So she will attest to this. I have Yoshitsune t-shirts. I have a Yoshitsune pop album.
He does.
I actually went out of my way to visit the temple where he died, simply because I am obsessed with that guy. And he is the ultimate persona in Persona 5. So yeah, all I did was spend 10 hours making Yoshitsune. And how did I distract myself? I turned on YouTube and watched old episodes of To Catch a Predator. Exactly. Chris Hansen is how I survive Persona grinding. So are you ready, Kit?
Yeah. Actually,
oh, good, because I've had 2 beers too many.
I haven't eaten since 1 p.m.
Someone have food. She hasn't eaten since 1 this afternoon.
It's more that I need water. I just need something to drink because my throat is giving out.
Thank you.
I was in Tabletop and LARP and then ran the panel, and then I'm here. So like my voice is,
She's dead to the world.
Gatorade, yes, please. Thank you, Aaron.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Ava Monkey.
Thank you, Aaron.
Like I said, I'm just providing color commentary for this.
All right. Oh, nice, Mike. Oh, thank you. Oh, the Pickers bars are the best ones? Dark chocolate. Oh, thank you. It's objectively the best one.
Is it plugged in?
No, because is there an HDMI? It's over here.
Yes, it's over here. Kit, you have to go over there.
Nah. I'm short. Okay, I'll move it.
Morgana in real life. Catriel Page.
No, Morgana gets more sleep. Oh, my cat actually tells me to get sleep. So yeah, my cat.
She's not joking. Her cat actually tells her to go to sleep.
I'm not joking.
No, the cat was telling me to go to sleep this morning.
Human, I know your schedule. Human, you're not where you're supposed to be.
2 + 2 = go to bed.
Yeah, right.
I never understood why does the main character listen to Morgana? It's a cat. Kick it down the stairs and then go out and party.
The answer is that Morgana isn't really a cat.
Oh, yeah. So
Spoilers.
oh, you know what I didn't do for you?
What?
I never sent you those pictures.
Aww.
So no, I'm going to do this for a second. Just for a second.
Okay.
I just want to share something with you guys, because you guys are awesome. You guys are awesome, so I want to share this. It's not a trap.
Oh.
It's not a trap. That is a D&D character, though.
Yeah, everybody's like, wait. Sorry, I just have a Critical Role character in my background, so like, I don't know about you.
No. You guys might like this. You might find this fun. Maybe. No, come on. Where are you?
Oh, you're bringing up that one picture, Shibuya.
I'm bringing up all of them.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot you had that photo album.
So, here we go. Does that look familiar to anyone? What about that? Does that look familiar? How about that one?
I've been there too.
Yep. So, yeah, the next time you're in Japan, why don't you go hang out where the Persona crew hangs out in Shibuya? And then while you're standing there, you might get lucky and see a dude in a Luigi costume riding a go-kart under the bridge. Because you can, in fact, go everywhere that's in Persona 5.
The only other game I have seen that does that is The World Ends With You. You can literally just go out neighborhood by neighborhood and be like, yup, scram, yup, check. Great stuff. Huh? Also, The World Ends With You is also on the Switch, so I'm hoping, right? Like, all my favorite games are on one console, finally. I know Joker is, well, eventually, in Smash. Like, I'm bad at Smash, but I want to play with Joker.
Hey, I always said from wrong. You get any judgment.
So, how many of you have actually played Persona 5 specifically? Okay. You know how in the beginning there's that 20th anniversary screen where it shows all the, okay. That's actually why I wanted to give another Persona panel, is because, especially when Persona 5 came out, I think using the Japanese dating, it was the 20th anniversary of the franchise. And this Persona 5 panel that I've done actually talks about the other Persona games in the franchise. Particularly how much 5 borrows from them. Because it does. A lot.
5 rips off most of its crap from Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor.
And Persona 2. Best version of Persona 2 I've ever played. So in the terms of the franchise seems to have a few themes going on with it. One of them is navigating expectations and don't trust adults. Unless you're playing Persona 2. This is from Persona 2, incidentally, where she's like, I have to do something big before I'm 25. And here I am, just laughing at her at this point. I'm like 34. Yeah, I'm just like, It also doesn't help that in terms of the US releases, we got the games out of order initially. We got the second game of Persona 2 first. We got Revelations Persona first. The second game of Persona 2 with a much better localization, because the original localization on Revelations Persona is down in infamy as, oh god, why?
Is it at least money bad or just bad?
Bad.
Mostly just bad. Like, only half the game is playable.
Snow Queen is gone.
Yeah, the whole Snow Queen is gone. So half the game is only on it anyway. The PSP version actually does restore that and does localize it a lot better. The problem with the Revelations Persona on the PSP is they weren't sure what to do with the Persona series because they didn't know it would be a series. So they had sections that are first-person dungeon crawl with the first-person view. And then they also had the grid system on the third, like, it would switch camera views to such a degree that I can't not play it.
Motion sickness. Want to get motion sickness playing Persona? Play the original.
Yes. That is also because when it was first made, SMT, Shin Megami Tensei is the parent series. They had also used first person at that time. And at that time that Persona 1 and 2 were released, Shin Megami Tensei was actually the more known franchise in Japan and here. Though oddly, we got the mainstream Persona games and then like the side stories of SMT. Like, SMT is really weird. For those of you who haven't played a Shin Megami Tensei game,
Run screaming for the hills.
it is Pokemon
With
but
demons.
with demons. And you're fighting God in most cases. With guns.
My first SMT game was Devil Survivor on the DS, and it broke my addiction to Pokemon, mostly because I got to punch God in the face repeatedly.
So there you go. SMT4 Apocalypse also they use a lot in Persona 5.
I just loved SMT4. I don't know why people thought it was so hard.
Says you. I suck at that game. That being said, fun fact, when I first got my DS, the first games I had gotten for it, when I got a 3DS, was Animal Crossing and SMT4. And some of you were like, wait. And I remember going up to the counter at GameStop with these, and the clerk was just kind of like,
Is this SMT4 game for your boyfriend?
no, that was the first clerk. The manager was actually like, I don't know which was more time consuming, the Animal Crossing or SMT. And I'm like, well, let's find out. But no, actually the first clerk was like, SMT, like that's a real game. That's not, what are you doing playing Animal Crossing? Obviously this SMT is for your boyfriend. I'm like, first off, they're both real games. Second, I ain't paying you money for this game. Don't judge me. Then eventually I got his manager, and his manager was also like a short lady and was just like glaring daggers at this guy. Like, you do not tell us what to play. It was fun. But as the Persona franchise kind of grew and grew, they started sticking with the high school setting. It was in the first Persona game. It kind of is in the first half of Persona 2. And then you play adults in the second game. Persona 2 on the PSP is fun. I do recommend it. They have both games on the PSP. Both games are on the Vita. It's on PSN. Just play it. But then they stuck with that high school setting 3, 4, 5.
Persona 3 on the PSP. Female main character.
Yes.
I will never play another Persona game like that again. It was so amazing because you save the people's lives who matter.
I am looking forward to Persona Q2 because they brought back the female protagonist. But Persona franchise tends to have some issues with female protagonists, apparently, which makes me very sad.
They wouldn't let Narukami have a relationship with Yosuke. You think they're going to get a girl's relationship right?
Also, because you're reading Yosuke's lines
And
before,
and yet, Persona 5 allows you to date your teacher. Yeah, that was my girlfriend throughout the entire game. I did not bother to date anyone else because I was hot for teacher.
That was my problem with 5 is that I couldn't figure out who to date.
Teacher. Always teacher.
Kawakami. Oh, Kawakami's nice.
I wish I had a teacher as cool as Sadao Kawakami.
Persona 2, again, if you play Persona 2, there's a lot of... If you play Persona 2, there is a lot more don't trust adults. There's a lot more of your ambitions and dreams vanish that can also cause you to vanish. So they are dealing with things that would become the metaverse in 5. That interplay between what people want and what people want to be. And the idea is if that part of you dies, then a part of you dies. And it's very easy to miss in 3 and 5, but they do reference like the breakdowns, the accidents that occur from people just snapping in and out. If you watch the Persona 3 movies, especially, they hammer that home. Where if you lose a part of your psyche, you literally lose a part of yourself. Also, the Persona 3 movies, I love Persona 3, don't get me wrong. It is depressing to watch the films.
At least it's not Persona Trinity Soul.
Oh my God, that was harsh.
Yeah, I remember.
We forget about Trinity
That's
Soul.
that's 8 hours of my life I'm never getting back.
No. Though I do like the Persona 3 films, especially. The only problem is that Aniplex has them.
So be prepared to spend $100 for one movie and a bunch of crap you're never gonna need.
I think I spent 60 on the fourth film. At Otakon that one time. I'm pretty sure that was a really good film though. But like, Aniplex, why? For a while the second film was on Netflix, but like none of the others. They're on Amazon now? Yes. Again, also, the fun thing about Persona 2, to go back a little, they also emphasize the power of words and rumor, which you also see with the social media section of Persona 5. Only in 2, you have the rumor system. It's more spelled out. Just like how, spoilers in 5, social media can be used against you, and the popularity rating. The rumor system goes back to kick the party in the butt in Persona 2. Because it turns out that the enemy can use it too.
Persona 5, Twitter simulator.
Persona 3. Persona 3.
The
Best
parents
music.
done screwed everything up, so the kids gotta fix it. Yep, sounds like Japan.
Yep. To the point of, when I first watched the cutscenes with the teacher that's supposed to be the sponsor of the SES, the club.
You mean not Gendo?
Yeah, not Gendo, and he's making all these terrible puns. I'm like, I don't trust him. Yeah, I don't trust him at all. And then I'm like,
not Gendo Akari. He still screws you in the end.
Yep. Luckily, actually, the one that you are designed not to trust at first glance, which is the Kirijo president, is actually on your side.
It's the haircut. He looks like a tool.
It's the haircut and like the whole thing. Toxic expectations, Persona 4. Because Kanji. And
Kanji
yeah.
taught me to be gay. Stevani taught me to appreciate it.
Also, the fun bit about the anime, especially in 4, they give a lot more emphasis to the final fights near the end. And it is extremely clear between the music and the cinematic shots that Yuna Arakami could have easily gone down the same road as, I'm forgetting his name
Adachi?
now. Adachi.
You can if you want to.
I mean,
then
you
get
can
a really
in
awesome
Golden.
version of Izanagi.
You can in Golden, but like the idea of Yu is right at that center of he could be a jerk like Yosuke and not grow up, or he could go the other way, grow up but still be very like stunted and not trust people like Adachi, and lash out. Yosuke just is immature by comparison. Adachi is literally a psychopath, or a sociopath rather. They start introducing this in 3 and 4. 4, especially in Golden, if you take a notice at the very end, if you're playing the regular endings, the epilogue, Kanji and Naoto are like the most happy in the picture because most of their problems came from other people. Putting down their expectations on them, but once they're like, oh no, I know who I am and what I am, yeah, no, they're totally fine. Everybody else, still struggling a little bit. I have many feelings for Naoto though, because Naoto Shirogane is best detective. Also, her voice casting is perfect. Unfortunately, you know. And then, speaking of Adachi, they take it to 11 and put it in Persona 5. Kamoshida's dungeon is actually hard for me to play. Because just as we all sort of know someone like Adachi, maybe not to that extent, like maybe not to the murdering, but like someone who's that sort of jerkish
He's
in that way.
every gym teacher you've ever had, just worse.
Especially like everybody who said anything about your body, whether you wanted to or not. Whether you're a girl and like you're used to people not looking at your face, after a certain age. All the cat calls you've ever had, like, that's Kamoshida. So it's actually very difficult for me to play as Dungeon. It's very satisfying for me to rip him in half, though.
That's why I gave you Yoshitsune. You drop him in 3 rounds.
That was very satisfying. However, Persona 5, I mean, they just go full in with, as you're introduced to the main character, you're being introduced to him beat up and being made to confess. And that's your name window. He's already beaten up and drugged by adults, and the adults are basically telling him, you have no chance. Persona 5 really cranks up the themes previously in other games to 11.
Persona 5 is the main reason I don't want to live in Japan. Because
it is like that.
The expectations,
yeah.
the social stratification, the suppression of emotion. No, I'm glad I live in this country where I can tell you to go F yourself and be okay with it.
There's a lot of, I know that the theme in Persona 5 is tied to hopelessness, but the fact that you have these everyday things like, what does happen if you try to save someone from assault and intervene, and the person that you're intervening from is a politician?
Persona 5 is tied with hopelessness, yet it has the happiest ending of any Persona game.
It does, though. You punch God in the face.
No, just hey, road trip with your friends.
That's true.
In Persona 4, your friends are running after the train screaming they don't want you to go, and I'm like, why don't you just tell your parents, screw it, I'm staying here. Persona 5, when you really should be hitting your parents in the face, you Jesus Christ, Atlas, make up your damn mind.
Though I'm still amused at the fact that Atlas also, so they made Persona 4, and you're like, why doesn't the guy just stay there? Why doesn't Narukami just like keep on coming back? And then, do you know what we had after that?
Golden?
We had Arena.
No, we had Golden, where he
Q.
goes back and apparently shenanigans happens.
Which is also Arena and Q. Because those are canon. And they literally have Narukami going back just to hang out. Also because Arena, you have a Persona fighting game that actually makes a certain amount of sense. Which, yeah, like there's a story mode in Arena that fits, and Ultimax, that fits in with the Persona like themes. Also, there is a dancing simulation game. Actually, there's 3 of them now. And Dancing All Night, the Persona 4 version, was also canon. They also had an in-game reason for that to happen. And I'm just like, Atlas, what? No. I mean, I see what you're doing, but why?
They want your money.
They're using Japanese mythology to say, give me your money. And I'm just like, I hate you for doing this as I'm giving you my wallet. Like, yeah. It's like, you're using Japanese mythology and okay.
Hey, there is a Japanese god of strip teasing. We can just leave it at that.
She's also patron of the United States. I kid you not. Amino Uzume is one of the patrons. Anyway, so another thread of themes on Persona. First Persona, the power of the subconscious. Otherwise known as, this girl gets hooked up to a really weird cybernetic system and causes a break in reality. I think I actually have the original video here. So I listened to Night Vale. And I'll hear the glow cloud. But literally, I love this scene where it's, and now the weather. And I'm like, I know this is literally the weather check in Persona 4, but it's a Persona game. Like, you know, with all the stuff going on, I'm just hearing in Cecil's voice, and now the weather. Jazz tunes. Like, here you go. And then you have Golden, in which case you do have a literal god telling you what the weather is. But you have this idea of self-delusion, and it does also obviously come up in Persona 5. Who here has actually played through Persona 5? Okay, so I'm not spoiling anything. So, Persona 4, yeah, with the fog. people are still deluding themselves. It's just in one game, you are literally not seeing things.
When I first started playing Persona 5, I had this weird little fan theory that every single castle in Persona 5 was someone who went into the television but didn't get killed.
That's not a bad fan theory.
And because they accepted their persona but kept their mania, they created that. And as I'm playing through the game, I am expecting more and more of this to the point where I fully expected to see, like, I don't know, someone from Persona 4, like, as a castle boss.
Unfortunately, they vaguely state that it's in the same universe, but they don't.
It's not like Persona 3 Portable, where you visit the town from the previous game.
I mean Persona 4, where you're playing, you're visiting the town in Persona 3.
Something Kid Yukiko. That's all I remember.
That's the game. That's the part in Persona 4 where they're playing the King's game. It's in the nightclub from Persona 3. But that's like the most obvious connection that the Persona games have ever made. Except if you're playing like Persona Q, which is explicitly a crossover game. Which is ridiculous because Atlas was just like, that sounds like a great idea. What could possibly go wrong? We're just making ourselves money. As I'm again handing Atlas more money, right? Like, I can't judge. Speaking of Persona Q, they milled in the self-delusion and the this idea of self-delusion and will, and it's canon. If you play Persona Q, they do an amazing job of taking the themes of 3 with the despair, fighting against despair and death, and fighting against self-delusion from 4, and they peanut butter and chocolate. You have my chocolate and my peanut butter. Also really bad puns, because Rei means ghost. And 0, and it's a pretty common enough pun in Japanese video games. Also in Evangelion. But, yeah, bad Japanese puns. But it is a game that does the themes really well. That's not a mainline game. But then again, then you have Persona 5, where it's like, let's just meld all these themes together, mix it up, add some jazz. Here you go. No, it's literally jazz hands, Persona 2. Like, okay, all right. Again, with the rumors and belief system. Jazz hands, near the end of why don't they see how the metaverse is crashing into the real world? Well, because they literally don't want to believe it. I do like Sai, though. Sai is best. Though I don't think I could ever pull off the outfit, the boss outfit, because I am short and stocky. Like, I can't. Does that back even like go down? Like, that outfit just does. How? Can she even walk in that outfit? I don't even know. Like, not the turtleneck. I'm talking about the Leviathan outfit. Like, yeah, like with the hat and with the back. Like, yeah, it's a cutout back. It's a cutout back. I'm not even sure if that like actually has a back. Is it just like the front? Okay, because I'm just looking at some of those, like some of the portraits. I'm like, does that even how? Atlas is just like, this looks cool. Okay, cool. Let's go with it. It's awesome. Let's go with it. Again, I actually do have the video where they do disappear. I like this one because this is where you get into a little bit more SMT. SMT deals a lot with the place of humanity and this idea of humanity is special because we can fight against fate. Or we could just give fate the middle finger because we can. Whether it's fate or the personification of death or our own horrible impulses in the case of Persona 2. There's a running theme of we fight because that makes us human, even if we know it's a hopeless fight. Persona 3 does this to great effect. Persona Q flat out calls it out and says basically, humans do that because they're humans because they need to live, and and that's what they do. Which sounds like a really silly line out of context, because it literally translates to life needs things to live, to borrow from Critical Role. But like, you're looking at the line and you're like, I know what they're trying to say, but
The term you're looking for is existentialism.
the term
There are two
Atlas.
video games that have fun with it, Persona 3 and Final Fantasy 9. But only one of them has a dude with a monkey's tail.
I was gonna say, and I know that's Final Fantasy, but you can catch one in Final Fantasy. Yeah. Again, in Persona 3 and 4, they kind of explore this to some extent, especially with, I guess, in Teddy, where you have these artificial creations. Morgana is a special case, but in Aegis, she's artificially created from a machine. Teddy technically comes from humans in the fact that he's a shadow first, and you know that he's a shadow first. And then they eventually gain persona, and they eventually kind of have their own journey as to sort of a self-realization. And there's Persona 3, which is you're just hanging out with death for a few months. I had a friend that did an amazing cosplay of Yoji, and it was scary. Because my friend is actually really friendly, but then you realize what character they're cosplaying, and they're like, oh. But the way that they portray this is that humans, our impulse is to make connections, which is why you can have a social link with death. And then you still have to fight against them. Like, there's this really weird thematic exploration that they do. Adachi points it out, of saying that humanity wants self-delusion, and he's sort of the champion of that in Persona 4. SMT just is flat out all about that, where they're like, you can create a new one, new world, you can destroy the old one, you could just try to survive. Huh? That's mostly the create your own world bit, is you can shoot God in the face and destroy the old order. If you take the neutral paths especially, no, I'm just gonna kill everyone. Like, that's neutral in most SMT games. Nocturne, this is actually from Nocturne. And Nocturne has a twist. Who here has actually played SMT Wow.
I feel sorry for you.
You actually played the revision then? Yeah. Okay. Nocturne is incredibly difficult for me, not gonna lie, because it's the hardest one ever. No, it is. Like, it is the hardest SMT game ever made. Categorically, like, Atlas is just like, nope, we're just throwing out, like, we're putting in everything in there. The remake of Nocturne, where they actually have Dante, that was because the character designers did a trade. The person usually that does the Persona designs worked on Devil May Cry, so they got Dante as a special character for Nocturne, as a deal, yeah. Nocturne, instead of the standard setup of you're playing a human that needs to choose, or a demi-human, that is forced to choose between their association with either like fiends or God and the angels, order and chaos, Nocturne, the apocalypse has already happened in Nocturne. The world is already dead in Nocturne. Your character is now kind of an odd bystander in some ways, without getting into details. And there's humans that are coalescing possibilities and new worlds around them based on their beliefs. So you can choose who to align with and have their world succeed. Or you can say, I don't like any of y'all, and just kind of do your own thing. Nocturne has a very interesting setup, because you're playing the fiend, you're playing the demi-fiend, and the world is already done. You have no choice in that matter. SMT4, they rewind time, and they're like, nope, you still have survivors, and you still have the world closed off. Nocturne, they're just like, nope, boards erased, have fun. But because you have these two franchises often interacting, where they'll take the press turn system from Persona and put it in SMT, they'll bring in a lot of the mechanics of SMT and put it in Persona. Persona 5 especially uses a lot from SMT, especially SMT4 and Apocalypse. The bit in Apocalypse that they mostly try to steal is the bit where you're the Godslayer. Because once you get into Mementos, you're like, oh, I know where this is going. I'm going to kill God. At the behest of the actual Igor, who was not there through the entire thing. I did like that twist. I called it in a trailer, and I got lucky. Because they have a usual voice for Igor. Igor's Japanese voice had passed away a few years ago. So they've been using recording, because it's the same lines each time. Mostly for Igor. Because Igor's been in all of this Persona games. When they did the voice for the English trailer, it was sufficient. It's the same voice that they've done for the English Igors for a while, but he's deliberately doing a much lower voice. And if you pick up on the speech patterns, it is distinctly different.
Yes, Igor always says, welcome to
The Velvet Room.
But that would be said, welcome to the live
Velvet Room. Yes, and there's also like, it is the one instance where they wrote an actor change, or in the Japanese case, or they wrote in a different voice to be used with plot relevance. And also, it is the only time I have seen in a Persona game where they use the "this is a work of fiction" disclaimer as a plot point. You can't disagree without going back to the title screen. Also, if you agree, that's what bites you in the end and has the ranking go down at the very end. Because you yourself agreed that it is a piece of fiction and that the Shadow Thieves do not exist. Yep. Like, it is the only time in a Persona game. I've seen the disclaimer in SMT games, but like, that's the first time I've actually seen that with plot relevance. Because Atlas is a major troll. Also,
Meanwhile, I just realized that my phone has been using the same Persona 5 wallpaper theme for the last 2 years.
it has. Yep.
My.
Try downloading the Persona 5 SMS app.
Oh, that app
Yeah,
sucks.
It's horrible.
No, I'm using the rest of it. Just doesn't make the sound when you text message me. It did for a little while, and then I
The
left
app is
my
bad.
ringer on when I was in Shibuya, and it did not end well. It would just make the Persona 5 thing, and then everyone would turn around and look around, like, where the hell is this coming from? Are the Phantom Thieves real? No, it's just a gaijin. Reading a copy of The Art of Persona 5 and drinking his Starbucks. Just some obnoxious American.
Though to be fair, if you're referencing Persona in Japan, a lot of Japanese people would be like, I see what you're doing. Like, it's not like, oh, you're referencing like a major thing like Attack on Titan, like, oh, you know, silly gaijin. Persona and SMT, they're like, okay. Yeah,
That's where you get some street cred in Japan.
There's some street cred to that.
Anyone can walk around Akihabara dressed like Goku. But if you're walking around Shibuya dressed like Joker,
Yeah.
they will take you to a cool place for coffee. Also, I thought it was funny because when I was over there, the real life LeBlanc had a Phantom Thieves cut out in the window.
That is an actual cafe,
And
by the
I
way,
walked
yeah.
into the cafe and I flashed my phone and they gave me a free coffee. I love Japan sometimes.
I also like the fact, and I'm not sure I actually mentioned this in the slides, when I was mentioning the artificial sort of creations, Morgana being an interesting case because he is convinced he is a cat. Or he's a human that he's convinced that he's a human, but currently as a cat because he has amnesia. It's complicated. He's neither. If you notice his eyes, not in chibi form because they're usually blue. If you notice his portraits, they have the same gold eyes coloring as the Velvet Room attendants. And then he gets mementos at the end and he's like, oh wait, I was sent here as a messenger from Igor to help you guys out. And then he realized that just like the Velvet Room attendants symbolize power and curiosity in some cases, his was curiosity and hope. And then he becomes a cat and yells at you to go to bed. And then he like doesn't contact you for a year, and like even the party's like, really, Morgana, really? You could have just showed up and not had us worry about you for like a year. What is the deal? But Morgana's a cat, so control you. I like the fact that he calls himself out on it of like, cats turning into buses is a very popular thing apparently in the metaverse because it's a part of people's cognition. And I was reading that line like, Atlas, we know you've seen Totoro. You do not need to remind us that everybody in Japan has seen Totoro. Thank you for calling yourself out on that one. Because I know that was in the original. The downside is that Persona 5 did have a rush translation, and so some of the translation voices are, like some of the lines are a little bit weird. Cats becoming buses, and I'm just like, Morgana, come on. Like, you're in Shibuya, like come on, there has to be some store selling like Totoro and Ghibli stuff. Like, Morgana, come on. Though I do now want to see a fan story now with like Morgana just goes into like a souvenir shop and like just sees like all of these like Ghibli plushies. Maybe that's where I got the idea from. I don't know. Igor. Oh, the Velvet Room attendants. Again, I like Morgana. Though, can we take a moment, the fact that you're playing Persona 5. Let's take Lupin the Third. Persona 2, Jazz Hands, game. You are playing Lupin, and don't tell me it's not like Lupin the Third, like complete with jazz soundtrack. Oh.
Yes, you are 100% correct.
You are 100% correct.
You see, I just saw this as Lupin the Third plus Devil's Survivor plus Persona 2 plus what the F equals this.
Well, because Lupin is like, you have Lupin plus a jazz soundtrack.
See, I don't think this one has ever played Devil's Survivor, even though I gave it to her.
No. It is pretty hard, yeah. I had to like knock it down on easy. I have played Apocalypse though. Apocalypse is fun. Huh? Yes.
Isn't that for the Switch? Oh, more reasons to own a Switch.
I'm just like, when they announced Joker for Smash, and then they're like, oh, we know that there's gonna be at least an SMT game, maybe a Persona game on Switch. I'm just like, Atlas, just Nintendo, let me just give you my money now. Like, you have enough games at this point, either out or announced imminently. Not announced of, we may be doing this, of like, no, we know Atlas works with us. You know, so barring like the Phantom Thieves going to Atlas headquarters, you know, yeah. Which they might do. Though, I also liked how before Persona 5 came out, if you were paying attention to the Persona Twitter, Morgana took it over for a couple of months before Persona 5 was released. Because earlier, Teddy had been the spokesperson for the Twitter account. They have fun with it. All right.
They love their mascot characters. Because they know you'll buy the plushie.
The problem is that I already have a cat. So like if I get a Morgana plushie, it might be redundant. Or my cat would just be like, oh, this is another cat, I hate you. I don't know. My cat is very cuddly, but sometimes she's kind of weird. Okay, so we're slightly early. We're just gonna open the floor because it's almost 1 a.m. and I'm tired.